I had a great time working on Xena, actually, and I was lucky enough to work with Lucy Lawless. Like, all of my scenes were with her, and she was incredibly generous. And I mean, I understand her workload now, having done this trip, but at the time I didn't. But I look back and I just think how amazing she was to take the time out to speak to me in the way she did and give me little tips and be so kind, because I was really nervous. I was really nervous, and in fact I look at the stuff that I did on that and I threw it away. I thought it was terrible. Like, you know, when you first do something in an American accent and you're just so wooden. It's just so unnatural. So yeah, but Lucy was amazing, and the whole show was really fun. I mean, I got to roll around in snow, and you know, it was good. And fight. I got to fight her with a big sword. And fly on horses. Oh man, that was just so silly. So obviously you're on a green screen and you're not really on a horse and you're going like this. Yeah, it felt like such an idiot. I was sitting under this guy for ages while everybody was fiddling and getting the lights right and making the shot look amazing, which took a really long time. So I was under there for a long time, and so as an actor it was really easy to just think all those really negative thoughts of, you know, that sort of low self-esteem and how has my life got to this point and blah, blah, blah. So I was actually already really at quite an emotional state. And so the first part of that scene, I think, worked really well, like I was really feeling it. Then, of course, we all stopped and had dinner. And we had to get the second part of the scene, which is coming straight out of the hotel room and into the car. So, and I had no idea how I was going to get back to that place again, because it was, so I had to, it was 3 o'clock in the morning and I was standing on the middle of the road, and I just thought, I don't care what anyone thinks of me. And the only way to find that kind of was to jump up and down as hard as I could and clench myself so tight and just scream. And I screamed, and I was just like, that whole, I hate myself. And it was like, boom, it just all came back, and I was like, and action, boom, go, yeah. They were looking at two of us for that role, and we had to workshop it together. So yeah, over a period of 2 days, we would both go in, and one day I'd play Melissa, and the next day, and she would play Catherine, and the following day we'd swap. And then, yeah, I heard that they had decided on me for the role, but I was completely unknown, and they weren't sure the networks would go with me. And I wasn't guaranteed the role of Catherine if the networks had said no to me playing Melissa, because it depended on who they cast as Melissa, because obviously, you know, you have to look different and have different sort of energy and sensibility. So I could have got Melissa or nothing. and I was really fortunate because they said yes. And yeah, I was really nervous when I was really nervous, but it was in that way where I knew I had to be confident. I knew that it was actually part of my job to walk in and know what I was doing. So I just acted like I did. And you learn to know the ropes really quickly, and everybody was there, it was looking after me, so, and we were all looking after each other, so yeah, it was cool. What I really enjoyed about Melissa was being able to be really silly. Like, I loved being foolish with her. I loved how she just set herself up to look like such a dick so often, and yet she's not, she wasn't. She's a really smart woman. But there was just something quite vulnerable and a bit goofy about her, and you know, she would allow herself to be put into situations and do really brave things and end up looking like, coming out looking like the worse for it. And you know, those sorts of situations that I would not even, I would say no to before even trying, for fear of looking like an idiot, you know? So I loved being able to do that. I loved that freedom of doing that. Like jumping up and down on a trampoline in the middle of the night in my bra, yelling at a guy and then singing karaoke to him, you know? I mean, so much fun. Embarrassing, but fun. And I think I do like bringing a little bit of, I do like to add a little bit of quirk to characters. And you know, I probably go too far often, but it was fun, and with her I was, you know, given a loose rein, so. When I originally got the audition, I nearly said no to it. The brief was that she had to be like, Naomi Watts. She was playing the character Naomi Watts was written to play. And I am tall and I had short dark hair and, you know, I've got, you know, sort of big boned, and she is tiny, this waif-like petite blonde, and I just could not understand why I was auditioning for it. And sort of begrudgingly I did, because I think, oh, I'm wasting my time. moan and moan. So I auditioned for it and I was actually really amazed to get the part. And it was fun, it was really fun. We had an accent coach and had to get that perfect because it was a period piece. There were loads of people in the audience, there were about 100, and they weren't extras, they were heads of departments from the show, so it was really cool. But Fran was directing it with another person, whose name I can't remember. But Peter Jackson came on and checked things over, and they're just such lovely, down-to-earth, genuine people, and, you know, well-liked. That was a different kind of challenge to the strip. That was almost like, although it wasn't Shakespeare, and I'm not comparing it to Shakespeare, it felt similar to learning a Shakespeare play every week. So like, it was so dialogue heavy. And that got a bit stressful halfway through the season as you get more and more tired, and, you know, my brain is aging, it became more and more difficult to retain the lines. So that was hard, but the rest of it was fantastic, like really awesome crew to work with, and really, you know, it was just really small and everybody was in it together, and also having the opportunity to play something a lot more pared back and simple, whereas Melissa had been, you know, a bit out there, and yeah. Sensation at that point was the most challenging piece of work I had ever done, and the saddest. I was really sad working on that. I remember there was a scene where my character had left the room and left the two guys in the living room, and I was listening to them talking about my character, and obviously it wasn't very nice what they were saying, and I was waiting to come back on, but I just couldn't stop crying. I felt so much for her. It was really, yeah, it was difficult, and I think compounded by the fact that I was a New Zealander working in Ireland, not knowing anybody and living on my own there as well to do this film. I think I felt some of that isolation that my character must have felt as well. So, you know, a little bit. But yeah, no, that was emotionally tough and incredibly rewarding. I'm really proud of that. It hasn't gone to do that well. It did really well in all the festivals, wonderful write-ups, but it never really got released. We shot it like a film, so rather than doing episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, we shot episode 1 to 6 all at once, like one big long movie. And so from one moment to the next, you're thrown into different emotional intensities, and you've got to try and find that immediately. And it's so emotionally intense. It's like, you know, you've just come out of, you know, having to imagine what it would be like being really involved in one of these awful earthquakes and thinking that your child's missing. And I mean, it was like that throughout the entire shoot, and it's really draining. And I apologise to the Cantabrians that I'm saying it's draining when, you know, I really didn't have to live with it for 2 or 3 years, and still they're living with it. But we really, really wanted to do a good job on that, all of it, everybody involved, you know, so everybody put their heart and soul into it.